Hello, what is up, everyone?
Hey everybody!
Welcome to an unscheduled broadcast. Like this, I was out and about till about 20 minutes ago, so I didn't have time to.
Oh wow!
But anyway, here we are.
Click the live button.
I know that's it.
You'll get the notifications.
People will come in like 10 minutes from now and they'll say, "I just got notified."
Like, man, how'd you just get it?
It's better than Twitch though, because Twitch sometimes notifies me like 4 hours later that someone's live.
People show up in my stream like 2.5 hours into my stream, and they're like, "How long you been live?" Like 2 hours. They'll be like, "Oh, we just got the notification." Thanks, Twitch.
Yeah, I mean that's
follow me on Twitter. Twitter,
I'll be honest. My phone will buzz and it'll say, "Oh, so and so went live at 3 a.m." I'm like, they're not live at 3 a.m.
Right.
They're not live at
all. My little kitten decided to tear up my finger. So.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Yeah.
It's very similar to my almost adult cat who needs to have their claws capped or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so welcome to the Weekly Geekly. We have two things we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the latest episode of What If. I also want to talk about some of the comments about why the show doesn't create as much buzz as the other properties, and we'll talk about that in between topics or whatever. So we're going to talk about What If. We'll do a small chat about that because I just want to give you guys my thoughts on that. And then we're going to talk about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, which we waited patiently for forever, it feels like. And it finally came out. And I think it delivered. And it's breaking records. And there's all kinds of news about the runtime of the movie. So we're going to talk about that in the second half of the podcast. So just be aware that there will be spoilers in the first half. Matter of fact, you know what? Let's go ahead and do.
I mean, just spoilers all in general. If you haven't seen the Spider-Man trailer, guess what? Spoilers.
Right, exactly. So anyway, also, if you are a Team Eric member, my members only live stream will be tomorrow. It's going to be on Monday. So, B. Allen Hart just got the notification. Okay, cool. And it's 3 minutes in. That's better than Twitch, though.
That's still better than Twitch.
Yeah.
It's still better than Twitch.
The members only live stream will be tomorrow. I was supposed to have it yesterday, but I was having a lot of internet trouble. So it will be tomorrow. So Team Eric members, tomorrow is your live stream. 30-minute.
You have an internet trouble? That's never happened.
I know. So.
Oh, my God.
Canograph says, I'm only here because I saw you were live while I was on Twitch. Okay. Well. Oh, because Twitch... Probably I showed up live over there as well.
Right, yeah. If you're following people, you'll pop up.
Yeah, that's interesting. So very exciting week for trailers, and I guess a kind of not so exciting week for the What If episode, which I feel like we had such a great second episode with T'Challa being Star-Lord that I thought we were moving in a certain direction, and I guess that's not exactly what happened. So let's go ahead and discuss this episode of What If. This was what if the Earth lost its mightiest heroes? Basically, the Avengers are not a thing. They don't happen. We find out at the end that some of the Avengers are still around, but those core Avengers, the ones that created that first iteration that we saw in the MCU, don't happen through various, things that happen to them that kill them off. And there's kind of a mystery about that. Were you guys, let me ask you this. So we jump to the end. We find out that obviously that Hank Pym is the person responsible for killing off.
Oh, wait, you got spoilers there. Never mind.
So yeah, spoilers. He's responsible for killing off all of them to get back at Fury for enlisting Hope into S.H.I.E.L.D. That's kind of that's the whole thing. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. We know Hank Pym is, he's kind of, I don't want to say like wild and crazy or whatever, but he doesn't follow authority very well, and he's kind of paranoid. So it doesn't really surprise me that he would think this, especially after everything that happened with them, and working as the military as Ant-Man and stuff like that. He had a version of the Yellow Jacket suit. It wasn't the exact copy of that, but it was, I guess, his version of it. How he got there, I don't know, because this universe, we're not totally sure about it. Also, Hope being recruited to S.H.I.E.L.D. early was kind of a new thing as well. So that was different. So we see him systematically take out each member of the Avengers. How long did it take you to figure out it was him? Because I can tell you, I figured it out by the second person. I was like, it's obviously either an evil Ant-Man or Yellow Jacket or someone like that. I kind of felt like that was.
I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't catch it until when she said Hope was the answer. She was just getting beat up. When Scarlet Witch, Black Widow was just getting beat up the whole time. I was like, wait a minute, why she's fighting air? Oh, it's Ant-Man.
And the only reason I figured it out is because I was like, who could do all these things without being seen? That's on Earth. That's the only one I could think of.
Yeah, it took me a bit, but I got it.
What about you, Cyber?
Yeah, I mean, I like when it was the second one. I was pretty much thinking, I'm like, could this be Ant-Man? But I was like, no, they wouldn't do that. And then they did. So
well,
I was like,
okay. So here's the thing: I didn't know if it was Hank or not. I knew it was.
oh no, I was
shaking
just thinking
out.
the character. I didn't know who it could have.
Yeah, that's why I say it has to be Ant-Man or someone who just goes small like that. I didn't know if it was necessarily Hank Pym or if it was I forget the actor, the guy who actually.
This is actually good.
Anyway,
Ash goes. I thought it was Ghost at first. It could have been Ghost. Actually.
Yeah, that was my first go-to also. But then I was like, no,
I didn't have a
that's
go-to. I was like, I don't know who it is, and then
B. Allen Hart says, I figured out when Black Widow got attacked. So the same time
Yep,
that Omega figured it out. And Introverted's the same. Cody says Hank is a very much tainted hero. I agree with that.
Yeah. Yes.
So what did you think of all? I guess we should talk about the deaths and how the characters were killed. So should we just do them in order? I suppose.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so Tony Stark, Black Widow walks over. This is from Iron Man 2. Black Widow walks over. We already know from what we can tell, the Iron Man story here is very similar to the one we had in Iron Man 2. Basically, him at the donut shop with Black Widow and Nick Fury, and she injects him with the stuff. We saw that in the film, but this time it kills him. I thought for a second when it first happened, I was like, oh, he's just being like he's doing.
Yeah, it's like it's Tony being Tony. He's being weird.
Yeah, but then we find out that he is dead. What a lame way to.
Oh yeah, that's anticlimactic.
That honestly, I mean, yeah, we can get there. It's fine. No, I thought it was stupid. I mean, he could have done it at any time. Like, I understand he did it at that point to frame Black Widow, but it didn't make sense because he ended up taking her out anyway. He was never going to be suspected regardless.
Right.
So I'm not going to read too much into it. It was because they wanted to give you a scene in the MCU where Tony was vulnerable. It's
right.
fine.
But I also think it was because he was trying to punish Nick Fury by making him watch his people get punished. Yeah. That's what I thought, but maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But he would have to. I mean, yeah. He would have to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So the second one kind of makes me scratch my head. So is this chronologically right? The second one was Thor, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Coulson is there, and he was funny, by the way. Phil Coulson.
Yeah, Coulson.
He's like, looking at how beautiful.
Wow, he really does. Caucasian male, blonde, great hair. Come on, no, he has really good hair.
I know. Yeah. I don't think that was said in the film, was it?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
No. This was all new. But the thing is, it might have been said. We weren't on that. Like, we were seeing that from a different perspective because at that point we didn't know the involvement that they had. We found out at the end. So the only thing that we saw in the film was the fighting that Thor did to get the hammer, and that Hawkeye was up on the perch. That's basically the stuff we saw from the movie. But we have Hawkeye who gets framed just like Black Widow for shooting and killing Thor, which, I mean, was that even possible? I know he was being punished, but he was still more powerful than a human.
Yeah, I didn't think Thor could be taken out by just one random ass arrow. Granted, it hit him like right in the heart, but still, it's like Thor. Would that even penetrate him?
When he landed on Earth, I'm trying to think. Was there like a scene where he thought he was still as strong as he was, and he wasn't?
I think he was. So here's the thing. I think he's still. I know he was supposed to be punished and see what humanity's like, but I still felt like there was still that he was more powerful than a human. Maybe not at the level of
maybe until he got his hands on Mjolnir, that he wasn't his usual Asgard self or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say there was anything wrong with it. It was just again another really it's
kind of like really Thor with an arrow.
Yeah,
like that.
It's just so like that. You see the fights they get into, and it's like, all right, deuces.
Right. So anyway, then we have Hawkeye goes to get locked up for this because he's been framed now, and then he gets killed while he's locked up.
Right.
Which is again, I thought like this has to be like a super small person. There's no way who else could have gotten into that facility. That's what was going on in my head. So then we see the Hulk. So by the way, when I have to give it up. So here's the deal with Hank Pym. If not anything, he was very aware of how to kill these people in this movie.
He pretty much did some Batman detective work.
Yeah, like he was definitely because like the Hulk, think about it. Like, so the Hulk is when it comes to like killing off characters like the Hulk, a lot of times you have to you're like, oh, well, we can't cut them. We can't hurt them. You have to hit them in the eye because it's the only vulnerable part of their body or something like that. Or like we talked about, there was a joke about Thanos about like going through his butt or something to get him.
Oh, yeah.
To kill him off or whatever. So
people on Twitter was saying that.
We know that people at this power level are vulnerable on the inside, but getting to that is the tough part.
Right.
But it seems here that, you know, that's what Hank did. He got inside of the Hulk and basically blew his heart up with using one of his Pimtech devices. And so
that was gruesome when you
it was very gruesome.
Good God.
It was very, very gruesome. You know, so he killed all, like out of all the characters, the one where I was like, there's no way he's going to kill the Hulk, right?
Yeah.
But he managed to do it.
Because technically in the comics, he literally cannot die. Unless he goes past the green door or something with the green door. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So so we have that happen, and that was the big one for me where I'm like, okay, this is kind of crazy, right? And then we have Black Widow trying to figure out like what's going on because she's like, okay, we've got to figure out what's happening here. And after doing a little bit of digging, she goes, well, how does somebody who was dead, you know, 2 years ago responsible for all this or whatever? And then she has that fight inside the library, which is where Omega, you said that's when you sort of figured out what was happening.
But she was just getting beat, just tossed around by just nothing. I thought it was either Ghost at first. I was like, no. I don't think Ghost knew anything about Hope. The name Hope kind of like triggered. I was like, oh, this is Ant-Man. This has something to do with Ant-Man.
So the only thing that threw me off a little bit is when she contacted Nick and left that voicemail for him or whatever, and he listened to it. He was looking at the pager for Captain Marvel, and I'm like, is Captain Marvel responsible for? Because he was looking at the pager, and I'm like, there's no way, right?
I didn't go there. I was like, is he going to call her down?
Yeah, but I did think that as well. I was like, is he going to need to call her down? Because at this point, we also know that Loki has now come to Earth trying to get revenge for Thor. And he's given them like 1 day to find the person responsible. And so I'll be honest with you, Captain Marvel would have crushed Loki's army. Just straight up. Captain Marvel would have it would have been not much.
She would have took out a good number of them, but I think it might have been a Pyrrhic victory for the Asgardians. I don't know. She's just one person.
I don't think anyone in that army, anyone, including the Warriors or whatever, and Lady Sif could have beat Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think it would have even been close.
Because here's the deal. Loki got beat the F up by Hulk. So Captain Marvel would have just, because he is powerful and he does have magic, but she's just she's a cosmic level character. Like there's just no way she could have.
She's just a super soldier. I don't know if she's really cosmic. I mean, she's absolutely freaking strong, but cosmic level, I don't know.
Sure, her power is cosmic. She got her powers from the cube.
I'm thinking of Captain Carter. I'm an idiot. Never mind. Continue.
Where did that? We weren't even talking about
Captain Carter the whole time. I was like, wait, Captain Carter? Did I? I mean, she's strong, but
Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Like it's a level of Thor.
She's
technically Superman. Shut up. Never mind. Go on. Continue.
Yeah,
I'm even here.
I don't know what he's talking about either.
I'm not here anymore.
However, what you are saying is true. Captain Carter would have not been able to defeat that whole army, but
not at all.
Captain Marvel definitely would. Okay.
Yikes.
So Asher with the $5 super chat. He goes, Iron Man 2, Thor, and Incredible Hulk all happened in 1 week. Also, Hank got inside before Banner transformed, by the way. Yes, I did. I did notice that. But he was only able to do that because Hulk would have responded to a threat. If he would have attacked Banner without being small, then Hulk would have kicked in and he would have beat Hank. But Hank got in without even being noticed. That was the way that happened. Yes, but we didn't talk about this. So the timeline is a week. Like all these movies
it's pretty much an entire
week. So were you shocked by that? Because I did think it was a much wider space and time than 1 week, but
nah, I was fine with it.
No, I never put that much thought into it. But to see, like, if you think about the events happening, like that Iron Man, because it started with Monday, which was Iron Man 2, so that was right after the Stark Expo.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's just weird. I never thought about it that way before, so it's interesting that it was just a week.
So going back and watching those movies now, you kind of in your mind, you're like, oh, this all happened.
Very, very quick. Within
very
days of each other.
Yeah. Okay, so where were we at?
We were doing the deaths in order.
Yeah, but we got past that. Okay, so the Loki thing or whatnot. So anyway, at that point, he doesn't call Captain Marvel, or at least we don't see him call Captain
Right.
Marvel.
Clearly, he did.
He's like, Hope, Pym. So let me go and see the grave side of where she is.
Mhm.
And he gets there. Nick Fury arrives to find out who this person is, and it ends up being Hank in a yellow jacket suit, which, by the way, I'm not even going to argue whether or not he would have created that technology because it's a different world, so I have no idea what's going to happen.
It's a what if.
But he was basically, at this point, he was yellow jacket, which in the comics, that's what happened with the character. So I'm not going to argue that it wouldn't have been a natural progression of his character. Maybe it was. So he's fighting, and then Nick Fury starts like basically
berating him
his ass.
Yeah, no, I'm like, I know, like in the comics, didn't Nick have a form of the super soldier serum, or
I don't
know. I think the original Nick Fury of Shield did, but
that's what I mean, like the original
one.
Yeah, I know that Sam's version did not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I was like, oh wait,
the original did have
right.
like a small, kind of have a light version of it. I think so. I can't remember. My brother would know more like about that.
I'm pretty sure he did, but.
Well, either way, I thought in this universe he either had the super soldier serum or he was using some kind of tech that we weren't aware of. I was like, something's going on with him. It took me a second to realize that, this is...
Yeah, as soon as you say, like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I was like, this is Loki.
Yeah. Because Loki is... Like, we saw him, when he shapeshifts, he does sort of play into whatever lies they need to hear, but he doesn't know everything because he's not a telepath.
Yeah.
So there were some things that were being said where he just didn't get it and whatnot. And then he started just appearing like everywhere around.
This is Loki.
So I really enjoyed that. I have to say, Loki, it was great to see him back and hear his voice again. And it was also fun hearing Coulson back because that was
Coulson.
That was
we just left a show that was completely centered. Right, never mind. Go ahead, continue.
No, but it was good to hear him back. Like we just left the show. I was glad to have him.
Oh yeah.
It was interesting though because I looked it up and it said that Jeremy Renner did his voice, but it didn't sound like him.
It didn't.
And I didn't think it was him at all. I knew that Black Widow wasn't.
Right.
Scarlet.
Yeah.
Right. But I was like, I didn't know that it said it was Jeremy Renner. So maybe it was.
I don't know. It sounded great though. Whoever was doing it was great. So Cody said it's called Fury's Big Week for that reason. It was originally so this was from the there was a tie-in comic, I guess, for the MCU that I wasn't aware of.
Okay. Interesting. We have to look that up.
I said I never thought
Ash
about
even
it
says here, we've known the movies happen in 1 week for you. You say we as in like it's universally known. I can guarantee you that I would, if I asked people, they would not know that.
I honestly had no idea.
There was actually articles about it being a big deal. So there might have been a tie-in comic, possibly, but it wasn't promoted heavily because I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I've never heard about that until just now.
That's cool though.
Yeah, thank you for telling us. But the thing is,
something else I have to look
this
up.
is one of the big issues. Also, and we're going to talk about this for a second because I know it's not related to this. There are people that didn't even know that those one shots were a thing, like the Mandarin one shot from and then in jail or whatever.
And then there was a one shot where they were the people found the gun.
Right. Yeah, from the attack.
Battle of New York.
Those things have been around for years as well, and no one knew those existed. So things like this, like what Ash was bringing up, or what Cody was bringing up, they might be out there, but they don't heavily advertise it. It's not
they really don't. They should though.
So, but thank you for the for letting us know. I actually might go check that out.
Yeah, I might have to look those up now.
And so then after Loki gets his revenge on Hank, he's like, I'm going to stick around for a while. I knew exactly what was going to happen at that point. I'm like,
because no one can stop him.
Right.
They're all gone.
Right. So he doesn't need the Chitauri at all. He just needs his army, his Asgardian army. And there is no Thor. And,
there's no Thor to talk sense into him, so he's just going to do whatever.
And I'm going to assume Odin is asleep.
Or don't care.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Anyway, point being is that, he decides to stick around. And then we see them cut away to him, like, addressing the world and saying that they subjugated to him, which is the same speech kind of that he gave.
You're meant to be ruled.
Yeah, which was kind of cool. And then we see Fury go to where someone we didn't see, which was Captain America, where he's frozen at. So in this world, the Captain America story still happened. He's still frozen, and Captain Marvel arrives. And so I'm waiting for the scene where they're going to battle Loki.
And it never happens.
And it never happens.
Yeah,
they leave it there.
It's like I was kind of more interested to see like who he like, Captain Marvel, Captain America, and then who else he gets to fight Loki. So I was more interested in that Resistance group than I was about this entire storyline.
Yeah, I wish it would have just been cliff notes at the start and then picked up.
That would have. It should have been not what if that we lost our world's mightiest. It should have been what if Loki took over.
Right.
Yes.
And then just show how, quick
how
30 seconds of a Yellow Jacket doing his thing and then move on from there. I thought that would have been much better.
I thought that what if Loki took over the world was going to be the what if, because we saw a shot of the army, Loki's army attacking, and I'm like, so maybe this is it or whatever. Okay, so this is maybe controversial. Do you think that what if should be two-parters if they leave on this kind of a cliffhanger?
Well, this is what I was hoping before. I was hoping that I knew every what if was contained and it was going to be however many episodes. I was hoping that if they did get a next season to continue on, like episode 1 would be the continuation of the Captain America story. Episode 2 would be the continuation of the T'Challa story. And then episode 3 would be a continuation of this story. That way it just gives you something to look for. But
Introverted Unicorn says maybe a longer runtime. I'm kind of disappointed in the length of the episodes as well. I feel like
they all been like maybe 30 minutes, 40 some minutes, maybe.
I've actually been okay with the runtime.
Yeah, for the most part, I'm okay with it. I would love it for it to be longer.
The first 2 episodes I was perfectly fine with and thought they were, I thought the first one was, okay. But then I thought this one, the second one was very good. And then this one just,
this
didn't
one,
hit it for me.
I feel like the first half of this should have been the entire episode. Like what happened here should have been 15 minutes long.
Yes.
And then we should have had 15 minutes of the resistance against Loki.
Yeah.
But the what if was what if the world lost the Earth's mightiest heroes? So they were never going to give us a battle at the end of it. They were showing that if we lost the mightiest heroes, that Loki would come and.
But I do wish that. I understand why they took it from scenes from the MCU, but we've already said this before, and I think next season will be like we had touched on. It would be for the next phase. Yeah. I kind of want to just see like the Marvel Zombies. I hope is just completely has nothing to do with just an alternate timeline of the MCU.
That's what I'm saying. Yet again, in this episode, it was a take on something we had already.
I'm just watching the same scenes from the movies just played out. Slightly different. Yeah. I could see that in extras on a DVD. Right. So it's interesting. It's interesting. It's just
this was probably my least favorite of the 3 episodes that we've had. I preferred the Captain.
Honestly, yeah. I enjoyed it, but yeah, this was one of the weaker episodes.
Okay,
it was still good. Still good.
What would you score it 1 to 10? And I want to know what the chat would score this episode of What If 1 to 10. What would you score it?
Me personally, I would give this one a 7. It's kind of like the Resident Evil 5 coming off of Resident Evil 4. It's still good, but it's coming after 4. So it has a lot to live up to. Because especially after the 9, I give 9 the Captain Carter one, and I gave T'Challa Star-Lord is 10. This one's about a 7. It's still good. It's just coming after those 2.
The 4 to 5 reference from Resident Evil is horrible. This 5 was awful.
This guy.
I will
5
say
was good. Sheba's my waifu. Don't you insult my
Chris Redfield punched a boulder, but okay.
Yeah, that was stupid. I admit that was stupid.
Anyway, I would say for me, it's a below average episode. This is not an episode that I would say you need to see. And if you do see it, it's not going to be like, oh, that's pretty good. It was just kind of meh for me. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. Oh, it's below average. I can't say it's below average and then give it like a 6 or a 7. That's not an average. That's above average. It's a 4 out of 10.
Still below average. Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah, it's a below average episode. There's nothing spectacular about it, and it left on the cliffhanger that I would have rather have seen that story. I don't think the deaths of the characters were that interesting. If anything, they were very lackluster on purpose.
To me, I think this was a murder mystery episode.
Right. Yeah, it was just like, oh, who did it with the candlestick, in the garage? Like that wasn't for me. So.
I'm going to fall somewhere in the middle with you guys. I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
And it's slightly above average for me, but I feel like the premise of it was good, but the way it ended left me feeling like it was an incomplete episode to me personally. So I think it needed another 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen it play out. I think that would have changed my score a lot if we would have, even if it was like a 30-second clip of them just wiping the floor with Loki.
Well, I see one person that agrees with you.
They could have shown Captain Marvel and Captain America fighting Loki's army while the credits ran.
Yeah.
And I would have been happy.
That would have been,
But they didn't.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So
understood.
All right. So before we talk about my thoughts on the episode's trendiness, Naruto here with the $2 super chat. Thoughts on the Midnight Suns game trailer? Have
Interesting.
You guys seen that?
Yeah, because they say I think the Hunter was that one weird character that I think that's what character they just came up with for the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is kind of interesting. I'd be interested to play it. It looks a hell of a lot better than that Marvel's Avengers game. That's not the Avengers, but it is. I don't know.
Who's making the game? Who is?
I forgot.
I don't know either. It does look good though. I will.
It looks great.
I'm sure I'll pick it up.
Anything with Ghost Rider, sign me up.
Oh yeah.
I love Ghost Rider pretty
No,
much.
this is like Wolverine with this weird, intricate, like Asgardian looking armor. I was like,
it was very
that?
weird, but I that's fine. We've said before if they're gonna be different, be different. So I'm okay with this.
Yeah. All right. So what I want to talk about now before we move into the Spider-Man thoughts on the Spider-Man trailer is some people online are wondering why the What If show isn't trending as high as like the other stuff that's been out. And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, I think animation there's people that just don't want to watch animated stuff. It doesn't matter if it ties into the MCU or not. I think that plays a part into it. I also feel like it's an anthology series. There's no thread storyline that's connecting each episode, at least nothing obvious right now. So each week is like its own independent thing, which I happen to like that. I think that's fine. But some people prefer stories that connect together. And this doesn't do that as well. Also,
it's literally just what if X happened. So
also I don't think it's being promoted as heavily as their live action.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
it's not even if you like for us when we went on Disney Plus, the first thing that pops up is Loki, WandaVision, and you just click that and it takes
Star
you right
Wars.
to the episodes. Right, whatever's the big thing. For What If, I have to go into the Marvel and scroll down to the What If. I don't know if everybody else's app does that, but ours is doing that, and I do that with any of the other ones. So there's that.
This was a nice touch, by the way. The Watcher, the artistic way he was incorporated into the episode.
Oh yeah, into the sky. Yeah, that he was just in the background with his glowing eyes. I thought that was a cool shot.
I mean, I like the art style. I think we've said this. We're probably going to end up saying it throughout the whole entire season. I wish it was multiple art styles. I wish it was, different takes completely on the artistic nature of it. But this art style's okay. It's growing on me. Right. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, I'm on Disney's page now, and the What If is on the the fifth pip. The first pip is freaking Cruella.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean. Like it's not being promoted. And
right. Yeah, it's not being promoted like at all.
Also, each episode has a shelf life right now. Like by time the next episode comes out, they stop promoting the previous episode. Whereas when you're watching a TV show, that show gets promoted through the life of the actual season. So you might see like for example, Loki. Every week Loki is getting advertised because Loki is the show. Whereas with What If, it's a different set of characters every single time. That's the nature of an anthology series, like the Twilight Zone or something like that. Like you're never going to see the same, or you might not see the same characters in those same versions portrayed. So I think it has a lot to say for the series when it comes to whether or not it trends on social media. I think the most trending that I saw was the T'Challa Star-Lord stuff. That was the one that I think I saw the most buzz about because I think it was the most.
It was Chadwick Boseman's last role.
Well, they said, I was like one of them. I don't know if it is last. I think they said that he had filmed other scenes as that character.
Oh yeah, there are other What Ifs with Black Panther, and every single time he shows up, he's the voice of the character. B. Ellen Hart. It feels like a different Earth in each episode. That's kind of what they're going for, I believe. I think that's what they're going for. All right, before we get into the Spider-Man discussion, I'm going to do a shout out for my Team Eric members. We'll be back in just a moment. What's up, guys? Eric here, and I want to take a moment to thank my Team Eric members and my enhanced Team Eric members. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel in another way. And now you have access to all of the exclusive content, badges, and emojis for the live stream, as well as 2 members-only live streams a month. If you're interested in joining and becoming a part of Team Eric, make sure you head over to any of my videos or on this video we're watching right now and click the join button. Thanks. All right.
2 minutes. That was like 15 seconds.
I know it's not. I'm sorry.
I need you
How
to
can I be a team member?
I need you to take every member
Here we go.
and personally shout them out and tell them one thing you like about them.
Oh my God.
Every single member.
Some thof them are like they're pictures of horses and stuff. Like
you like the picture of the horse, dang it. I don't care if it takes the whole Weekly Geekly. You do every member. I challenge the chat to make him have more members, so he has to take longer to do it.
Oh, geez,
then we get a 2-hour podcast, 3-hour podcast, 4-hour podcast, guys. This is crazy.
The introverted unicorn likes cats. That's what I would say.
I like cats too. He has 5.
See, chat. This is like, you know what? Become a Team Cyber Ninja member. I'll do it.
I would say become a Team Omega Veltal member, but no, don't.
I don't. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Unless you like hearing about raunchy stuff all the time. Come on over.
So Omega Hour.
On this video, once it's done and it's been processed, I want everyone who's a Team Eric member that's here watching right now, or if you're watching on playback, to leave one fun fact about yourself in the comments section.
There you go. See, let's go.
We can talk about it next week. One fun fact about yourself. Like, you can do it here, but then if they put them under the video, it stays there forever. Like it's there permanently. So
I do read comments, though. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, which, by the way, was amazing. This trailer, I thought it was.
I thought it was crap.
What?
No, I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, guys.
I was gonna say, how do you think it's crap? We waited a while. I was worried that Sony was thinking about delaying Spider-Man, but now that the trailer has been released, which they waited a really long time to release it,
I think they were forced to do it because of the leak.
Yeah, they probably. So? Yeah, I think they probably had their hand just forced because
it was getting out.
I actually thought that the leak happened one day before they announced that they were going to release it, but maybe that was like just
the leak happened the day before, like 2 days before.
Well, no, it was like a day before.
It was a day.
Yeah, it was like a day.
It happened 1 week ago on this channel. I forget who it was in the chat. Said that it was meant. So I went and watched it. Right, it was horrible.
Yeah, we all watched it.
The next night, I was on stream and Arrowverse Scenes came in and was like, "Why aren't you watching the Spider-Man trailer?"
Yeah,
like,
it came out on Monday. Yeah,
I'm like, "What are you talking about? I've already seen it." And he's like, "No, the new one." I'm like, "Wait, or she?"
Which,
I don't know.
By the way, I was angry. I'm like, "Why did this trailer come out one day after our live stream?"
Like, I know, but then it was like 10 o'clock at night when it came out. But yeah, so there we go.
So anyway, I love the trailer. It did
really.
I will say this. Out of all the Spider-Man movies that we've had between, Homecoming, Far From Home, and now No Way Home, this is the first Spider-Man trailer that I've seen for all of the Spider-Man movies in the MCU where I've been like, I really want to see this movie. Not that I didn't like the Spider-Man movies, but the trailers didn't get me hyped like this one did. Like this trailer really got me hyped because I feel like it connected a few things that we've been speculating on, like Doc Ock and like some of the storylines within the actual film, the connections with Doctor Strange and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that happened in this trailer that I think were extremely buzzworthy, and they knew it. They knew that was what was going to happen when they released this. And we see the scene with Wong and Doctor Strange, and there's talk about whether Doctor Strange is actually Doctor Strange or not. But I would say for me, this trailer was great. I loved it. I hope that they don't do the same thing with Eternals and Spider-Man they're doing with Shang-Chi, which is releasing way too many clips.
You're pretty much watching the whole film.
I have avoided all Shang-Chi clips for like the last week. There are so many out there. And the actual actors for the film have said, there's plenty more. There's more stuff in the movie. Like, you're not seeing everything in the clips. And I think that's them being worried that Marvel is releasing almost the entire movie in clips.
Yes, they're showing so much. They really are.
Crazy. But anyway, Spider-Man trailer. Thoughts on, before we get into our discussion on the trailer, thoughts on the trailer itself. Like, what did you think?
Omega?
I like Mages. I like Doctor Strange. I am super interested in this, but I'm like, is this Spider-Man broken enough? Because it's Spider-Man with regular Spider-Man stuff, but then they gave him Tony Stark tech, and now they're gonna give him do like weird Sanctum Sanctorum magic on him. Like, how busted can this character get? But then again, how
I
they
want
were saying
Cosmic Spider-Man, so I want it to be very busted because Cosmic Spider-Man was
is
awesome.
completely broken. Yeah, but he was cool though. But I'm kind of think it's like, well, in the trailer it says like I want everyone to forget about me. So some people are speculating like, is he going to be completely gone from the MCU and just be because of Sony shenanigans? I hope not.
Well, here's what I think would happen if that happens, because hopefully by the end of the film it gets resolved, right?
Yeah.
But if the spell works as intended based on the trailer, then that would mean everyone from Nick Fury, all the people that would go to him as an Avengers wouldn't, because they wouldn't know he existed. But Strange would still know.
I'll say this is a throwback. I haven't heard Blog TV mention it forever. I used to do that so long ago, like 2009, 2010.
Yeah, that's
been a decade. Good to see you.
That's been a bit.
That is crazy.
Here's what I'll say about the trailer.
Yeah.
We had a big problem in WandaVision with them showing a character from another cinematic universe and everybody getting hype, hoping that it was a specific character from the cinematic universe. Marvel's trailers are always filled with red herrings. I know this is Sony, but it doesn't matter, right? So this Doc Ock, remember that Doc Ock died.
Yeah.
So what are you getting? The Doc Ock before he redeems himself, before he died? Or are we getting a completely different Doc Ock? When he says, "Hello, Peter," is he talking to Tom Holland?
I don't see. That's the thing, is I don't think he is.
And then it shows the Goblin, and people are speculating that it's not. Well, I guess we'll get into that. That it's not Willem Dafoe's Goblin.
Yeah.
And so I am hyped for the actors to be back in it. I can't get hyped for the characters because we don't know yet if that is the ones that we know. Yeah. It's no different than Loki. Everybody's all excited for Loki, and I'm always like, it's not that Loki. This is not going to be that Doc Ock or that Electro or whoever else is in the film. So until I know for sure, I can't be like, yes, I am glad the actors are back, because I do think they played great.
Yeah. So what Cody's saying here is, what Cody is saying here is, I think we already kind of knew they were
right. They're not the same characters. So you don't need to see those films to know who they are, but at the same time, if you didn't see those films, you're gonna.
Well, we see that Jamie Foxx's Electro has got yellow electricity. At least that's what it seems like in this.
So
in the trailer. Correct. Yeah, and then we have the Sandman effects. We obviously have the Green Goblin, like the little bombs that he used. So we are seeing these little hints from the older films. There's also a rumor now based on the trailer that Lizard is in one of the shots, like a really quick shot of the trailer here. And actually, we'll kind of go through some of this stuff here. I think there was a couple of things that we saw that were kind of interesting. So Green Goblin, Lizard, Electro, Sandman. And I guess we have to figure out who the final Sinister Six character is going to be. A lot of people are assuming it's going to be Vulture.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Maybe, but if he forgets that he's Spider-Man, it would, that doesn't make sense that he would be. Obviously, the spell doesn't work if he's saying "Hello, Peter," right?
Right. Yeah.
So I know that there are people out there that have read Reddit, and if you're in the chat and you've been reading script leaks or movie leaks, keep in mind that while that might be accurate, same thing I'm doing with the trailer, I don't want to concrete that in.
I'm just going on what I saw in the trailer.
Right.
That's all I'm going on. I'm not concluding anything.
I don't want, because then it's like when you go to see the film, if something changes, it's like, oh, I don't want to be that guy where the receipt's like, see, you were wrong.
Right.
It happens. It does, but
I think that this movie is doing kind of what WandaVision did, which is so many theories and so many speculations. But at this point, I feel like Marvel wants that to happen with this movie.
Absolutely. Because of the way they just want buzz. They don't care if it's positive or negative at this point. They just want buzz.
So one of the things we did see in the trailer is the fallout from Spider-Man's identity being revealed. And we were wondering how they were going to handle that. And it seems like they want to deal with it with magic and find a way to make people forget that Peter is Spider-Man. And this is a take, supposedly what's going around is this a take on the One More Day storyline, which was I believe 4-part comic series, which was one where it dealt with Mephisto and MJ and, Spider-Man making a deal after the events of Civil War, because as we know, during Civil War in the comics, Spider-Man outed himself as Peter Parker. And so they're saying this is kind of like that, but then it's not really like that at all. I mean, from what I'm seeing in the trailer, it doesn't remind me of that storyline. Maybe it is, not totally sure. Also, apparently, people are saying that Matt Murdock was in the trailer.
Literally, it's a hand, and I'm pretty sure it's just the person interrogating him. Just with his jacket off. I've seen the trailer a few times, and I'm like, please, I've said this 1,000 times. I want Charlie Cox in the MCU, but I just don't see what purpose he would serve other than the lawyer aspect of it. I don't know. It's not Matt Murdock, I don't think.
Right.
I hope it is, but who knows?
I would love to see it. I would love to see all these people, but I just don't think it is. And I don't think if Tom Holland, if Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in it, look, they're going to do an Endgame 15
As far as I said, it's not
scene.
Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
It's not Matt Murdock.
They'll do like a 15-minute Endgame fight scene where they show up. They're not going to hold a big section of the movie with those actors. I just don't see it. I think they're there for like a couple scenes to help him fight the Sinister Six, and I think that's going to be it. I could be wrong. I'm just saying. I don't think they're going to be in the film very long if they're in it at all.
Right. What about you, Omega? Any thoughts on?
I hate doing so much speculation on just one trailer that I barely remember anymore. But I'm just along for the ride. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. So one of the things it seems like Peter is kind of worried about is once he's talking to Doctor Strange and Wong is like, "Don't do that spell," and then he's out on vacation.
Like,
or whatever.
Okay.
And then Wong's like, typical Wong fashion, like, "Hey, y'all be good. Peace out."
Right.
And that's probably where he's going to go fight the Abomination.
Okay. Here's where people get weirded out because they think that this version of Doctor Strange is not like Doctor Strange in the MCU. No, this is not like Doctor Strange from the 2-part movie. Like, if you go back and you watch the original Doctor Strange, he didn't listen to anybody. That was part of his personality. When someone told him not to do something, he just did it anyway. That's who he is. So they're saying this is unlike him. No, this is absolutely like him. The thing is, maybe he's a little bit funnier than he would have been in his movie or whatever. But him being reckless with magic is just part of his personality. They're like, oh, well, what about the events of Endgame and all that and everything? It doesn't matter. None of that matters. It's a personality trait of his. So if he wants to do something, he is Doctor Strange. He's like, I'm going to do it if I want to do it. It's even like that in the comic books. Because they're like, oh, this is not him. It's obviously a Skrull or somebody else. I don't think so. I think it's Doctor Strange.
Skrull?
Why would it be a Skrull? And how would that Skrull have access to magic like that?
I don't know.
Definitely not a Skrull.
Yeah, that's weird.
So are you guys under the impression it's a different Doctor Strange, or
No.
you like me? It's
Nope.
definitely Doctor Strange.
He looks like so when you watch Loki from like the first Avengers on, obviously he had his hair, right? And it's obviously thinned and gotten shorter over the years, et cetera, et cetera. This version of Doctor Strange, when you look at him, his hair doesn't look like his hair.
Right.
And I think that's why people are probably like, oh, it's not, it looks like a wig. Maybe because he had it looks bad.
I'm wondering if he was doing another film and they had to use a lace front wig on him so that it looks real.
Yeah, probably.
It could be because that to me looked off. And that's why I was like, maybe, his mannerisms, but it didn't look.
Here we go.
It didn't look right. See?
Here we go.
It's Mephisto.
But Mephisto was part of that storyline from the comics. The one with Spider-Man and MJ.
Mephisto's part of a lot of storylines in the MCU, but he's not there. So
not the MCU,
whatever.
Yeah. Mephisto's behind everything.
But Mephisto was also connected to the storyline they were telling over at WandaVision, and we didn't get Mephisto over there either.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. Naruto with a $5 super chat. A Loki theory I thought of a couple weeks ago is they've been mulling it over. What if killing Kang was Sylvie's Nexus event? I mean, it might have been.
Yeah. Could have been.
We know we're getting another season.
Yeah.
So I guess
Loki was so freaking good, and it's set the precedents. I mean, this other stuff was already set in stone. But.
Oddly enough, when we came out of Black Widow, I was like, I enjoyed Black Widow, but the TV shows are
Yeah.
Killing it. They're killing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I had my issues with that one catastrophic failure, that one engine that brought down the whole thing, but otherwise it was fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
Black
still
Widow?
mad about that. Yeah, I'm still mad about that. That was stupid.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Black Widow.
It was fine other than that.
So another thing is that if there are going to be variants, if they're gonna connect the multiverse, obviously with Spider-Man, and they're going to introduce the variants thing, is this going to be confusing for people who haven't seen Loki? What do you think?
No, I think it's going to explain it, and then you don't need to see Loki. Because if Doctor Strange explains the multiverse, it doesn't matter how it was able to happen. That's irrelevant.
Multiverse shenanigans.
Right. The fact that people aren't there actively preventing it is completely irrelevant. You don't need to know that was before if his spell creates it after. You just need to see it when it happens. That's all. It's fine.
He was bald in that movie he did this year, so maybe his hair. Yeah, that's probably what it was.
That's more than likely what it is, because that is 100% a wig, and it looks.
Oh, Gwendolyn didn't like Loki. She stopped watching after episode 3. Wow.
It's not for everybody. I'm not. No. I think it's.
I get it.
WandaVision, The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki are 3 very different shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very different. I understand. It kind of doesn't really get good until near the end. I understand that.
Fine, because that's how these series come out, 1 episode a week, but they're clearly meant to be binged. But
I feel like it does connect, because when they're showing the background of him doing the spell, you see the time stream with the branching of multiverses.
Here's how Loki connects to this movie. If Doctor Strange tried to pull that off, the TVA would have showed up.
Mm-hmm.
If when
he tried to create the multiverse and allow them to interact with each other, the TVA would have showed up and stopped it.
Who would have done that?
Strange. They would have showed up and stopped Strange.
But the TVA doesn't exist. The TVA that we know,
which is why Loki is connected.
Oh, you're saying that's why it didn't happen,
right?
Okay, yeah. I'll say the new TVA doesn't seem to be connected to what's happening.
Yeah, because even when I don't know if this is like with the trailers, they lie to you in the trailers when he was doing the whole thing and the spell fails. Maybe at that point, that's when the sacred timeline just shatters and goes.
It's possible, but I was also thinking that the new Kang probably doesn't care about things like the old Kang does. Like the new one probably wants chaos because it continues to allow him to
do whatever he wants or whatever.
Yeah. Crazy Cat Lady with a $5 super chat. And though Jane was able to throw a car twice, so why can't an arrow not be able? Was able to with car.
And Thor, Jane was able to hit Thor with a car twice. So why can't an arrow not be able to?
Oh, because he didn't die from getting hit by a car. He got up off the table like nothing had happened. Do you not remember that? I do remember that now. She hit him and she did knock him out, but he got up and walked out after a while. So, I mean, I thought that maybe, like I said earlier, that I didn't think he was totally human. But I don't know. Maybe. All right. Anyway, getting back to this. Thank you for the super chat. I forgot about that scene, actually.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was kind of weird, but yeah, whatever.
Hey, baby, I'm doing the weekly geekly. You all right?
We can hear you.
Huh?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
It's his daughter.
Anyway. So, but we also know now that there is going to be some sort of blending of variants and other universes and stuff like that. At least that's what it seems like. Now people are saying they're wondering if the X-Men or the Fantastic Four are going to show up. Are you surprised that we're back to these rumors?
No, that's what they want.
Yeah, that's what rumors going to rumor.
But because of previous events and because of this film, that stuff is viable now. So
right.
These theories will be more sound as this continues on.
Yeah.
Eventually, people are just throwing the darts at every
movie. They hit a dartboard and just see what.
And then eventually, once it goes through, they'll be like, "Aha! I told you." They'll come into my stream or come into yours and be like, "I told you." Yeah, you said it every single time. Of course,
you had a different theory every week. One of them is going to be right.
I'm not speaking to any one of you in particular, by the way.
Okay, so this question, I had to pull this up because this is something that I know a lot of people are going to say, and I have to reiterate the intention of what is happening versus the way we perceive it. So what still doesn't make sense to me is if No Way Home still takes place in the sacred timeline, How are these events happening? Were villains from alternate dimensions always supposed to come through? All right. So, as always, we as human beings perceive time as a straight line because there's no way we just can't perceive it any other way.
Right.
At least not right now. So when they're telling us stories about time travel, there's always going to be things that happen after the event because that's the way we're watching it. For example, if we were not watching Loki, that means in reality, none of the other stuff we've ever seen would have ever happened. We would have never seen it. And this would be the first movie we'd be watching because that's the way we perceive time. So it always is going to look like, well, if that was still happening and the sacred timeline was still a thing, how could they not do it? Because time didn't matter to the people at the TVA or whatever. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying that in order for us to enjoy these things as entertainment, there's no other way in our world that we can watch it like the way it would be perceived in actual time travel. It's just not possible. So the events have to precede or come after or whatever other events. And I know it isn't always going to make sense, but that's just the way it has to be. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on this? Because I know this is going to be something that people are going to say and it's going to happen, but we are watching post Sacred Timeline. And I know that doesn't always make sense. But
yeah, we don't know when that actually because Loki didn't happen in a time frame. We don't know when they finished. We know the era in which he became a variant. We don't know at the end of time when that set the TVA back, if that makes sense.
We don't even know when that was.
And we'll never know because it was out of time. So that
it may as well be
like
at the beginning of the universe or at the end of it. Who cares? Who knows?
The events of the TVA took place in 1960 and 2350. It took place.
But it also took place at the same time.
But at no time at all.
Right.
And we're never gonna be able to perceive that. At least none of us will be able to. All right, so Steven here is with a 4.99 super chat. By the way, this is the 5-minute warning, guys. 5-minute warning. Steven with a 4.99 super chat. Will we get an answer from how Mysterio knew about the multiverse and they were on Earth 616? He was just making stuff up.
Yeah, 100% making it up.
He didn't know anything any more than anybody else. He was an arrogant grifter who was mad about his technology being overlooked by Tony. Yeah. So the concept of the multiverse in general is not foreign. Like, there's probably in the Marvel universe, if there's aliens and there's magic and all this other stuff, I'm pretty sure the theory of multiverse existing has been discussed by people. So he made it up, but it wasn't something that he just created in his own mind. I believe he probably just said, that sounds good. It's a good way to trick him or whatever.
Right, exactly. It was 100%.
Yeah. What about you, Omega? Any thoughts on that?
Like I said before, I'm just along for the ride. I have no idea. Besides, I actually didn't even see the second Spider-Man movie, so.
So, Intro to Unicorn says, apparently the villains were transported at their moment of their death because time happens all at once. So when they look at Peter, they're actually looking at the Peter from there. They may. I have no clue. You might be right. Yeah. Again, the time doesn't really matter. You're right about that. That's 100% sure. But yeah. Let's see. Laura says Marvel timeline is starting to give Flash TV timeline mess up. Timeline is what Marvel wants. Like the Flash timeline works for the plot. I mean, that's essentially the way it's always going to be, because
which is why Endgame should have never introduced time travel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Once you introduce the concept, it would have been easier to do multiversal stuff, because then you have some sort of chronological way to look at how events happen. When it comes to time travel, it's like anything goes. Because eventually we'll get to a point where it's like, why can't you just go back and change the events of blah, blah, blah? They tried to explain that in Loki. They're like, we can't go back to the same event twice or something like that, or same time twice and whatnot. It's just a thing. You're either going to like so it isn't so much just time travel. It's how the shows handle their time travel. I am not a fan of the way the MCU has done it, because for MCU, timelines and alternate realities are essentially the same thing. And in What If, we're seeing that. It's like prismatic, like a change in a timeline changes that universe. It's all the same. So for me, it's just the way they're handling it. We'll see what they do moving forward. Honestly, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange are the two movies that are going to be very key in the way the MCU works in this phase and moving forward. And I know Omega's really excited about Doctor Strange too.
Yes.
And this one looks to me like it's also
honestly with all this especially after Loki and all this multiverse stuff, I think a lot of people are eventually going to be interested in Doctor Strange too, because I think that might deal directly with you tell him, Sky, that might deal directly with the whole timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff. Yeah, that's right. You tell him.
She's talking about she's giving her opinion on it.
All right, so I'm not going to score the trailer because I don't see any points.
How do you score a trailer? It's a trailer.
There are people that do it. I will say that the trailer for me has me excited for the movie.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely interested.
So there we go. Here we go, Cyber. Toss out to you. 199 super chat. Is the Flash getting delayed?
The show? I don't know. The movie? Yes.
By the way, I want to pull this up because this is kind of funny to me. On Twitter, the cinematographer for... Oh, I also want to point out that Spider-Man No Way Home has actually been the placeholder time limit or time frame of 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Oh, that's
2 hour and 30 minute movie
right now.
Good. So we'll see. So the Flash movie cinematographer came out and said that the Flash movie was not a comic book movie because they just want to make a great movie for everyone. And I'm like,
motherfucker, it's the Flash. It's a comic book character. I never make a comic book movie with a comic book character. What's wrong with you?
Films that were also not comic book films, the X-Men series.
Yeah, true point.
So okay, I've said this online,
which is why the movies were trash. Every last single one of those X-Men movies were trash, absolute garbage.
Modern comic book movies aren't looked at the same way they were 20 years ago. Like 20 years ago, you wanted something like the X-Men, where it is a comic book movie that looks like it's made for people that don't like comic books. That's essentially what they're trying to do. Nowadays, Marvel and even more recent DC movies have shown that comic book movies are absolutely fine. Matter of fact, the Suicide Squad has been listed as the most comic book movie that DC has ever done, and it's a great film.
It was great.
So I don't see a problem with making a comic book movie. We don't have to pretend that they're not comic book movies. We don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to sit around and go, well, we don't want to ruin people's expectations. What are the biggest billion-dollar movies right now? Comic book movies. Why do you feel like you have to shy away from that to make people think a movie is going to be a great movie?
For the contrarians.
It's ridiculous. It tells me that I have an issue with the people working on that movie now, because if their goal is to make a movie that isn't a comic book movie, then I don't want to see it. I don't want you to take comic book characters, put them in a film, and then go, we don't want them to be comic book characters. We just want to have them there. That tells me that you want to use my fandom to make money without actually respecting the material that you're given. Because you think, they're like, oh, I just want to make a great movie. What's stopping you from making a great comic book movie? Are you saying that comic book movies are inherently not capable of being great movies? Because you're shitting all over the stuff that came before you from that same company and all the characters that were in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I still don't think the film's going to happen, so...
That's why I'm actually pretty excited for this Dune movie coming out, because they said the director was very much read the books. A lot of the actors read the books, and they seem like they're going to be true to the source material, which I'm like, great, thank God.
But look, here's the deal. Someone said except Logan. I still consider Logan to be a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Logan is still, to me, a comic book movie.
It wasn't.
No, I think there was a phrase earlier than that didn't make it through, where they were saying everything after the X-Men films was bad. Except,
yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Except Logan.
But either way, I think that movies, like somebody was saying, Deadpool's a great example. It was super comic booky, and it was a fantastic film.
Yeah. Now, Logan, I know a lot of people like Logan. I didn't, but in terms of X-Men movies, it was still
0 out of 10. 0 out of 10.
It's just it wasn't a movie I liked. Was it?
But would you still consider
movie? Yes, it was still a comic movie.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Would you
Yeah.
still consider it to be a comic book movie?
It just wasn't my favorite movie. I didn't really like
Here's
it,
the
but a
deal.
lot of other people did. So hey, that's cool.
People that say that
Yeah, I thought it was boring too.
that they don't want to make a comic book movie have not ever read modern comics.
Exactly.
There are modern comics and graphic novels that are very mature.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them don't even include superheroes. So to say that you don't want to make a comic book movie tells me that you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Exactly.
And so I'm worried about it. I am very, very, very worried about it. How are you going to take The Flash and the Michael Keaton Batman and tell me you're not making a comic book movie? How are you going to do that? Makes me go, you know what? I don't know if I want to see it now. What am I watching?
Well, I'm definitely not going to see it unless chat wants me to suffer.
Like, what kind of movie are they making? What if it's not going to be silly and funny at this point? I don't want to see it. You've got The Flash and Michael Keaton. I mean, it's going to be. Go back and look at the Tim Burton stuff. The Tim Burton movies were comic book movies, but they were dark and they were funny, and it all worked.
No, as a kid, I really didn't like Batman Returns, but until I got a little older, when I was about maybe 16, 17-ish, that's when I really actually went back and saw the movie. Was like, this is actually a really good movie.
Batman Returns.
I hated it as a kid, but when I got older, it was
Tim Burton of the two movies.
Yes.
It was the most Tim Burton. I mean, the penguin and stuff, that was definitely the most Tim Burton of the two movies.
You know, he actually ate a fish in that scene.
That's so gross. I don't even want to think about that.
He actually ate a raw fish. He was just coming down the stairs eating a raw fish. It's like, no, that was actually a real freaking fish. Gross.
That's really gross. Anyway, so that is my rant on the cinematographer saying that, because it has me worried. And Cyber, you might be right. Maybe this Flash movie needs to be canceled at this point, because if that's what they're going to be doing, then not happy about it at all. So anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for stopping in. Join us next week. I believe the next episode
we'll be seeing Shang-Chi.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So next week we will be, unless Omega can't see it, because he may or may not be here. But
I don't know.
You might have to take off early, because we're going to be reviewing What If
first.
Right. Yeah. But the next What If, Omega deals with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested about that.
Have you seen the trailer for it?
No, I haven't seen the trailer for it yet.
Go on YouTube. There's a 1-minute teaser for it. It's about Doctor Strange, and I think
that's half the episode. Don't do that.
Anyway, so we'll be doing What If first, and then we will do our review for Shang-Chi as the second half of the podcast. It might run a little bit longer than an hour next week. We'll have to wait and see.
Depending, because when I'm in training, my Sundays are pretty much my Saturdays, so I might just take an Uber over there and see it. I don't know.
Yeah, go check it out, because I think it's going to be really good. And avoid any clips.
I'm avoiding everything.
Any of them at all. Because the movie is getting pretty much positive reviews, with the exception of a few lukewarm that are like, "Oh, it's just another superhero movie." I mean, that's kind of
whatever. If you don't like superhero movies, you don't like superhero movies.
If you're a critic that doesn't like superhero movies,
don't review superhero movies.
Take that out of your head and place it somewhere else, and just watch the movie for what it is, and then give a review on it. Because I don't like horror movies, but I don't go into horror movies thinking, I don't like horror movies.
Yeah, I like very specific horror movies. If it's not like a psychological horror or something like a cosmic horror type thing, I'm not into it.
I'm not going to go into a horror movie and be like, it sucks. It's a horror movie.
Yeah, all it is is blood and gore. Who cares? It looks fake.
Like, who does that?
Yeah, it is.
So Farzad, no, it is not. It is not going to be.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of like, I'd rather just stay home and watch it, but whatever.
It is. That's why it's kind of, people are keeping an eye on it, because this is the first really big movie that's coming out that's not going to be on a shared Disney thing, but it will come out 45 days after the theatrical release as a regular addition to Disney Plus, not as a premium,
which is cool.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So we will catch up with everybody later. Oh, by the way, before I go, one more time, because I see a few of you guys are in here. If you are a Team Eric member, the members only live stream will be tomorrow. So keep your eye on the community tab. It will be tomorrow. We'll do a 30-minute Q&A with everybody who is a Team Eric member. So stop in and see us. If you're not a Team Eric member and you want to come in for the Q&A, go ahead and sign up, hit the join button. It's available for all tiers. There's 2 tiers on my list. No matter which tier you're on, you can participate in the chat. That will be tomorrow. So I will see you guys then. Take care. I will see you next week.